Hello there, YouTube. I have just watched the most recent video, MrBeast's Clickbait Charity by Dose of Buckley. I've been watching Dose of Buckley for years now. It's a great channel, actually. I'll link it below. Highly recommend it. I don't always agree with what he says, but he's funny most of the time. And like I say, I've been watching him for years. I support him on Patreon, which means I get to see his Patreon-specific videos, which are, again, worth watching. It's more of the same, but it's still funny stuff. Again, link it below. Check him out. Now, I am responding specifically to this video. It's only got a few hundred views at the moment, but I suggest you go and watch it, because he's got a specific take on MrBeast's charity video that he recently did. The one I mentioned in a previous video, where MrBeast paid to get 1,000 people surgery they need to cure their curable blindness. Now, I'm going to assume that you've gone and watched the video by Dose of Buckley. It's only 10 minutes and 24 seconds long, so go and watch it, and we'll carry on from there. Have you watched it? Good, we'll carry on then. Right, so, like I say, I'm going to assume you've watched it. If you haven't, go and bloody do it. Anyway, he makes a good few criticisms. One of the criticisms that he makes that I never picked up on is that the thumbnail, the title of the video, is very much clickbait. It says 1,000 blind people see for the first time. And it's got Jimmy, because MrBeast, Jimmy Donaldson. It's got Jimmy in the thumbnail with his hand on the shoulder of a kid with a bandage around his head with tears. Yeah, the thumbnail and the title, both very much clickbait. First of all, it's not 1,000 people. It's not 1,000 blind people seeing for the first time. It's 1,000 people with cataracts who have degenerating eyesight seeing for the first time in a few months. Most of them have had their eyesight deteriorate to the point where they are now legally blind. They can still see shapes and colours and light. Most of them have only been blind for months or maybe a few years. Most of them are well over 50 years old. Based on what I've seen of the video, because I've watched the video. There are a couple of kids. The kid in I say a couple of kids, a couple of like teenagers, and a couple of people in their 20s in the video. Not many. The kid in the thumbnail, I don't think he's actually in it. I don't recognise him. I don't recall seeing him in the video. So yeah, good criticism. MrBeast did basically, well, he did do clickbait. But it's YouTube, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to do clickbait. Like, I'm going to stick MrBeast's face in the thumbnail of this video. I'm also going to stick a Dose of Buckley's logo on the thumbnail of my video, because I'm talking about both MrBeast and a Dose of Buckley. And I'm going to, put them both prominently on the thumbnail because I'm talking about them both. MrBeast and Buckley are not in this video, but it's my face talking to a camera. But they're both going to be in the thumbnail, and I'm going to title it something like Defense of MrBeast, Rebuttal to Buckley. Something like that. Because that kind of title and that kind of thumbnail will get people to click on it. I'll also be using MrBeast and Jimmy Donaldson in the tags and in the description at least twice each, because that'll get it in the search engine. People will find the video, because I want people to see my video just the same as Buckley wants people to see his video and Jimmy wants people to see his video. That's what YouTube is all about. We don't make videos and throw them into the void for no one to watch. We want people to see our videos. It doesn't matter if you're a small channel or a big channel, the biggest channel on YouTube. You want people to see your videos. So I don't understand the criticism of criticising a YouTuber for wanting people to watch their YouTube videos. Of course they do. But I do agree that it's clickbaity. And it's a bit sad, really. I don't like that it's clickbaity. I do agree that the criticism that a lot of people have of the situation is that America does not have proper socialised healthcare. There is not a national health service. There's not a universal healthcare service in USA, and that means that people can't get this very simple surgery for free like they can in every other dignified country in the world. And that's not reasonable, that's not fair, that's not what you'd expect from a civilised society. This surgery can be had for free in some developing countries quite comfortably. Every single country of note, with the exception of USA, has at least some level of socialised government-run healthcare. It's maybe not complete, but they've got at least some kind of socialised healthcare. We're talking about like African countries that don't have pavements, they don't have proper tarmac on the roads, they don't have a fully set up plumbing system, but they still try to provide at least some healthcare to their citizens. Like, it is one of the very first things that a government will try to provide for its citizenry. And yet the richest country in the world doesn't do it. It is a big criticism. And it's the criticism that Buckley doubles down on. It's a criticism a lot of people who are criticising MrBeast directly bring up. And it is something that MrBeast himself criticises. It's something that there's a tweet that is brought up in this video. And let's see if I can find it. Here we are. Here's the tweet. If I can be asked to do the editing, I'll stick it up on screen. If not, you'll just see my face reading it. MrBeast posted this. 48.2 million people have seen it. Over 39,000 people have retweeted it. 500,000 likes. I don't understand why curable blindness is a thing. Why don't governments step in and help? Even if you're thinking purely from a financial standpoint, it's hard to see how they don't ROI on taxes from people being able to work again. ROI being return on investment. Yeah, as Buckley rightly points out, welcome to socialism for beginners. This is the most basic principle of socialism. This is the most simple principle of left-wing thought. That by working together, we can fix small problems that one individual can't fix because it benefits all of society. It's why we bring everyone up, because a rising tide raises all ships. We want healthcare to be free at the point of use for everyone, because having a healthy population makes everyone better. Because that means that all people are well, that means there are more healthy people, there is a better workforce, there is less drain on society, there's less need for people to care. Because if you've got a decent preventative healthcare system, you can stop illnesses while they're still small before they get serious. This is all just this is just a natural thing. It's the same thing with homelessness. Right? If you have socialised housing, that benefits everyone, because a homeless person is useless to society. A homeless person, I know, I've been homeless. A homeless person is useless to society. They can't work. They can't hold down a proper job, because you can't hold down a job when you can't do simple things like feed yourself and shower. So you're not contributing to society, you're not paying into the taxes, so you're just draining society again. And on top of that, you're lowering society in general for everyone. Because homeless people, just by their sheer existence, make everything worse. Homeless people increase crime rate, because homeless people still have to eat. They can't afford to buy food, which means what do they have to do? They either have to beg or they have to steal. And again, I know, I've been there. A lot of homeless people are deeply, deeply depressed or in a lot of pain or have a lot of other problems, which means they either turn to drink or drugs, or they just end up suffering. They make everyone around them miserable, because if you see an endless tent city of homeless people, that makes the place uncomfortable to be in. It's less aesthetically pleasing to be around, even if you don't have empathy for people. Just sheer aesthetics for yourself, it's less pleasant. But that's discounting the empathy. That's just from a personal selfish desire. You still want rid of the homeless people, so we may as well give them a house and give them somewhere to live so they can build themselves up. At that point, they're now stable, that they can focus on putting themselves in a position where they can get back into the workforce, where they can start contributing back to society. These are things that every civilized society works out. It's why every major Western power has socialised healthcare, has socialised housing, has a welfare state that ensures that if you're not working, you have a basic income and help finding work. And those that physically can't work on disability are placed on disability or some kind of welfare system so that they can still live a dignified life, so that they don't end up being dregs on society that just make everyone's life worse. This is socialism at its core. Now, you can take socialism way too far, and plenty of people do. Well, that's not what we're getting into. But this is a fair criticism of the American system, but it's not a fair criticism of MrBeast. Yes, I get it. People are frustrated that it takes a rich person trying to play the system for clout in order to fix these issues, and people find it distasteful. But the biggest criticism that this video that Buckley puts up has, and it's a criticism that I keep hearing, is that this is poverty porn. That this is just MrBeast doing stuff because he wants people to like him. Why shouldn't he want to be liked? Like, yeah, I get that it's not fair that America doesn't have a proper healthcare system. Like, the whole Breaking Bad meme has been a thing for a long time. What would Breaking Bad in the UK be like? What would happen is, Walter would go to the doctors, he'd find out he's got cancer, then he'd get told, right, the waiting list is a few weeks, we'll set you up with the treatment, come back on these days and we'll start the chemotherapy. And that would be it. He wouldn't need to start, cooking meth. He wouldn't need to get involved in crime. He would just have to wait a few weeks. Simple as that. It's really not a big deal. So I get that that's a thing, but the idea that MrBeast, because he's now providing that as instead of the government, that he should be vilified for it, it seems weird. Yeah, he wants to be thought of as a good person. He likes being liked. Who doesn't? But why should we dislike him? Yeah, we can say that the government not providing these things is not just. That we should be angry at governments for not doing their role. And you can be angry at the government. If you're an American and you want a proper socialised medical system, a proper universal healthcare system, then you should be petitioning your government to do that. You should be contacting and lobbying various different members of your various branches of government to make that happen. Because it's not just going to happen overnight. If enough people push for it, it can and will happen. But you need to push for it. It's not MrBeast's job to do that. It's everyone's job. MrBeast stepping in and doing philanthropic things in the meantime, however, is not bad. And he should be allowed to feel good for doing good things. More people would do charity. More people would do good things if we gave them praise. Now, we have no issue with giving praise to people in general. We do it all the time. We call it celebrity culture, where we will obsess over people and praise them and give them all of our attention. Why can't we do this for philanthropy? Philanthropy and just good, honest work. Why can't people who do good and help people be allowed to revel in it? It's a criticism that Buckley gives, and he doesn't justify it. I get that he's doing it just for, laughs. It's a comedy skit, it's a 10-minute comedy video. But it's not, it's kind of rank comedy, it's commentary comedy. It's not, blow your side out jokes comedy. It's social commentary comedy. And for that to work, it's got to have a grain of truth to it. And I don't think this has a grain of truth. I don't think it's fair to criticise him for wanting to be loved and respected and for basking in his philanthropy. I would as well, and anyone else should and would, I would think. If you're going to do great things, if you're suddenly mega rich and you choose to use that money to help people, and you choose to then revel in them thanking you and revel in them having a stream of tears of joy, and that makes you feel great. And you live to see them in a fit of tears because that you made that joy happen, and that makes you feel good inside. If that's the thing that gets you up in the morning, that's a great thing. Isn't that so much better of a reason to get up in the morning than the almighty fucking dollar? Isn't that a better reason to get up in the morning than profit? Which is what so many people get up in the morning for. Isn't that a better reason to get up in the morning than just the drudgery of everyday life? Like, who cares if the reason he's doing it is because he wants to be liked, he wants to be loved, he wants, the admiration and respect of people around him. If that's what it takes to make him do it, give him those things. It's such a big price to pay. It's a small price to pay, I'd say. I do not understand the criticism that MrBeast is getting, and frankly, I think that it's coming out of a place of jealousy. I think it's because a lot of people want to criticise MrBeast because they don't have his resources, they don't have his opportunities, they don't have his money, they can't do the things he's doing. And honestly, if they had his resources, they wouldn't. They'd sit on their arse, they'd buy another house, and they'd just, lounge in their swimming pool and go on holiday and things like that. It wouldn't work day in, day out, making video after video after video, travelling the world, doing all these wacky things just to keep getting views, because I guarantee Jimmy works every fucking day making all these videos, because the amount of effort that goes into these videos is massive. Yeah, he's got a team of people that work for him, he's got editors and shit like that, but I guarantee he is a workaholic. You can tell just by the way he is. So I think it's coming from a point of jealousy. That's what I think it is. I think MrBeast is rattling people's cages because they wish they were in his position, and they need to be able to take him down a peg. They need to be able to knock him off his pedestal just a little bit. They don't want him not to have helped 1,000 people regain their eyesight, but they just want to be able to criticise him and take him down a little bit just to make him a bit more human, because otherwise it'll make them feel too bad about themselves, and frankly that's not fair. You know what? He is better. He is better. He's done great things, he's helped great people, and I don't care if he's done it for his own self-aggrandizing ego. He's still helping people along the way. I don't care if the only reason he was doing it was his own fucking ego. His achievement is still the same. He's still helping people, and you can't undo that. So I'm 100% on the side of MrBeast in this one. That's my response. I don't have an issue with Buckley. I get what he's doing. I get what he's saying. Just disagree. And I think ultimately the pot's calling the kettle black here a little, isn't it? Because how much of this video, Buckley, is you making a video about MrBeast because he's the biggest YouTuber on the platform, and you know that making a video about MrBeast will necessarily get a lot of views because it'll have his name in the title, his name in the thumbnail, his name in the tags. How much of this video is you just jumping on a bandwagon, just jumping onto a hot topic because it's going to get you views? Are you any different from him, with the only difference being you haven't cured 1,000 people of blindness in the process? Something to think about. Also, by the way, I realise I'm doing the same thing, but I'm not the one criticising. I'm not the one saying it's a bad thing. I'm open and happy to admit I am milking this for everything it's worth. I still think I've got an important point to make though. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.